Hello, I'm Nicholas Markey. I'm a physical therapist by day, an online fitness coach by night. My online fitness coaching business is called Beach Barbell Training LLC. Um, and this video is related to that. Basically, do you have to run or do cardio to lose weight and fat? The short answer is no, you don't. A lot of people assume that they have to. They assume that they have to do all these exercises to burn calories, and that's just not necessarily true. So we're going to dive into that a little bit, okay? So the first and foremost is cardio is very good for your health, okay? I think sometimes I see some like trainers and stuff like bashing cardio and you know, see some media bashing cardio, and it's kind of like, okay, so we need to split up what we're exactly talking about. So if we're just talking about just health, yes, cardio is good. And you know, the guidelines right now is for moderate intensity, about 150 to 300 minutes a week of moderate intensity activity. Now again, that kind of might split up things because it's a little vague, right? Because moderate intensity activity, could that be like I'm doing specific cardio, or maybe I'm also doing other things activity wise. So those kind of blend together, okay? Or it's 75 to 150 minutes of high intensity activity, okay? But yes, so cardio is good for your health, and it can potentially help, you know, if you're hopefully doing some sort of strength training. Cardio might help you with like recovery and whatnot, because you know, when you're working out, you can think of training like lifting weights as kind of like ultra high intensity cardio, right? Because it's only lasting, you know, somewhere between 5, 10, 15, 30 seconds, a minute maybe at the most, you know, and then you're taking a recovery break, sometimes 30 seconds, a minute, you know, 2 minutes, 3. And if you're working on really strength-based training, you know, sometimes up to 5 minutes of like rest between sets, okay? Maybe cardio might help decrease that time between sets. Maybe it makes you a little bit more efficient, right? And maybe you can get into a set sooner rather than, you know, later. So there's that first and foremost. But the reality is if we're just looking at weight loss, and ideally mostly fat loss while we're losing that weight, you have to be in what's called a caloric deficit. So oftentimes it's called calories in, calories out. You have to have less calories in than are going out. So whatever you're putting in calorie wise needs to be less than what you're burning during the day. And remember, burning during the day is several things. There's kind of just your base metabolic rate, which is a huge chunk of that, and that's just like your organs working, you know, like just your body functioning. And you know, the more muscle you have, muscles are very hungry and require a lot of energy, the higher your base metabolic rate can potentially be, because that lean body mass really drives that up, or can potentially drive that up, right? Then you have like calories burned from specific exercise, right? You know, like I'm going to do the elliptical for 30 minutes, or, you know, I'm lifting weights for an hour or whatever, right? So there's calories burned with that, right? And then there's also calories burned with just your daily activity. Like I walked around the store, or I got up and walked to go brush my teeth, right? That costs calories as well. So if we're looking at just the exercise piece, that's where cardio would be like a specific exercise. The calories burned there may not just be worth the cost if we're looking at weight loss for most people, right? So say that I spend like an hour doing some cardio machine. Let's say it's somewhere between 500 and 700 calories. Okay, pretty good. Am I going to be able to be consistent with that to rely on that, right? So if I'm making that so if I'm saying, okay, I'm going to need to get in this caloric deficit, I'm going to burn these calories, so I'm going to do this amount of cardio every day to help me get that part of that deficit. Well, hopefully you got to be consistent with that, because then you're setting your nutrition up to rely on that cardio, as opposed to saying, okay, I'm going to set my nutrition here kind of regardless of what the cardio is doing. And if I'm losing weight with this nutrition, then I'm going to keep it there. If I'm stalling or I'm not losing weight, then I will drop my nutrients a little bit, regardless of what I'm doing here. And then so in that sense, I think you can kind of think of the cardio as kind of like throwing wood on the fire, throwing gasoline on the fire. It's kind of an accelerant. So maybe we don't focus on it to rely on it, but we can say, you know what, I'm going to lose most of my weight from my nutrients, dropping my nutrients as I need to, as I'm losing weight or, whatever. But I'm going to also throw in this cardio, one, for my health, and two, it's kind of like an extra, right? An extra help towards this end, but not necessarily setting up the nutrients to rely on that. So think of it like a bonus kind of thing. That's kind of how I like to think of it. But for some people, they may have, for whatever reason, maybe they have a condition, maybe they're taking a certain medication, maybe they've been dieting a lot, and so maybe their metabolism's really slow or really low, and so they can drop their nutrients, but maybe their nutrients drop so much that it's just hell, right? Like, I got to drop my nutrients so much. If I'm just focusing just on nutrients, like, maybe in that case, that's where you might say, you know what, this may be a good time to use cardio to supplement the nutrients. So if let's say that I need to drop about, like, just for instance, let's say I need to drop out 300 calories to what I'm currently doing, per day or whatever, to start losing weight for this particular person, okay? So maybe I do half of that in cardio, maybe I do the other half with nutrients, right? So in those particular cases, you might actually then potentially rely on cardio. Now, again, with the idea that I'm going to be consistent with this, because if that is now our plan, cardio now becomes something that's like, I got to do it, right? It's like it's not like, I don't feel like doing it today. It's like, well, I got to do it. It's now part of my plan for this weight loss, phase. And oftentimes what's not thought, my last point, is that daily activity, remember, so we said like base metabolic, just like you functioning, like your organs and just existing, right? Your base metabolic rate. And then you got like specific exercise, like the training you're doing, the weight training. Ideally, you are doing weight training while you're losing weight, please do. And then, cardio, if you end up throwing that in there. And then you have just your total daily activity. The total daily activity actually might add up to a lot more in reality than any specific exercise. So you can also look at, let me be more active day to day. Maybe I park further out, so I got to walk in further, right? Maybe I go for an extra walk or two, right? Maybe I stand more than I sit. Maybe I pace around more. Maybe I fidget more, or whatever. Your body, when you're starving it, you're taking away nutrients to lose weight for a good reason, right? Your body is going to think, oh my God, you're literally starving it. So your body's smart, and it's going to try to conserve energy elsewhere. And that one of those things might be the daily activity. Your body might just naturally have you lean against things more often, or you might just naturally be inclined to sit more, right? Like your body's like, okay, where can I save these calories, because we're losing food here. I need to figure something out here so we're not starving and dying, right? Because eventually, if you diet enough, you will die, right? If you take away nutrients enough and your weight just keeps going down and down, that's not sustainable. That's why everyone's kind of got their own weight to get to and then maintain that, right? Anyways, this is where something like a step tracker. So instead of maybe, like, for most people, instead of focusing on like doing specific cardio to burn calories, maybe instead focusing more on like steps. Get a pedometer on your phone. Yes, now they'll be able to track you, but hopefully you're not doing anything illicit. If you are, then maybe you find a good alibi. Anyways, get a good step tracker, and then you now can track. So if you can kind of fight against that subconscious part of your body that's going to like make you a little bit lazier and not move around as much to conserve energy. And you can go, oh my goodness, I need to get my steps up. Maybe you set a goal, like 6,000 steps, 8,000 steps, 10,000, 12,000, 20,000, whatever, whatever goal seems reasonable for you. And that might not be a bad idea, to maybe track your steps for a couple of weeks beforehand. Then maybe you get an average. Maybe it's like, oh wow, I'm actually like got 8,000 steps per day. And so then you at least try to maintain that, and then you can potentially even try to increase that. Because like every 2,000 steps you add, you're actually potentially improving your health outcomes. So you can maybe even set a step goal, right? You could say, okay, I've been doing 8,000 steps. I'm now going to go on a weight loss phase, right? A fat loss phase, for the next 6 to 12-ish weeks or so. But I'm going to, also focus on those steps. So that could be, instead of the cardio piece, that might be more worthwhile to your time. And then again, you can check it. Like if you're it's more objective, right? Instead of saying, was I sitting around a lot that day? I don't know. You can say, well, I can tell, like, where did my step count say, right? So that's another way to try to also find the calorie burn, right? So anyways, I hope this was helpful. Share, like, subscribe, comment, ask questions. Love to help out any way possible. Obviously, of course, if you are looking for help and trying to lose weight, lose fat, gain muscle, gain weight, gain muscle, or just figure out maintenance, whatever, need a training program, need a nutrition program, this is what I do with my Beach Barbell Training LLC, my online fitness coaching business. So reach out to me if you need help. But anyways, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.